Let's take it to the next level and add a star field for our planet to live in. I'm going to go ahead and create a new file. I'm going to make it 1920 by 1080. I'll just go ahead and call this Starfield. And I'll set my background as black. Go up to Filter, Noise, Add Noise. We're going to add it 400%, Gaussian, and monochromatic. Copy this layer by pressing Ctrl J or Command J, and then make this new one invisible. Select the background layer, go back to Filter, and go to Blur, Gaussian Blur, and blur it by 0.5 pixels. Go up to Image, Adjustments, and Levels. You can also get there by pressing Ctrl L or Command L. We're going to adjust this first black level here to 200 and the midtones level to 0.42 and press OK. Let's turn our top layer back on and make it active. Go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. This time blur it by 2 pixels. We're going to open the Levels dialog again by pressing Ctrl or Command L. And this time change the black value to 170 and the white value to 172. Next, we're going to go ahead and blur these large stars. So go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and blur them by 1 pixel. We're going to switch from the Layers tab to the Channels tab. We're going to select this button down here, which is going to get all of the white stars selected. We're going to move back to the Layers tab. We're going to delete this top layer because we don't need it anymore. We have what we need selected. We're going to create a new layer. And now we're going to fill this top layer with white in all those selections. We do that by pressing Control or Command and the Delete key at the same time. And then we can select, deselect. And those larger stars are now on top of the bigger star background. Let's give these larger stars an outer glow. I'm going to double click on the thumbnail on this top layer to open up the layer style menu. We're going to choose outer glow. We're going to give it an outer glow that's white. Blend mode should be normal, and the size should be 10 pixels. And now if we toggle this top layer on and off, we can see the difference that we've created. We're going to merge these two layers together, so I'll right click on the top one and say merge down. We're going to make a new layer, and we're going to fill it with the foreground color, which is black. So we're going to fill it with black by pressing Control and Delete. Oh, that's not right. Alt and Delete, sorry. So now it's black. We'll go to Filter, Render, Clouds. And we're going to change the blend mode on this top layer from normal to color dodge. Now we're going to add some color into the scene. So we need a new layer, and we want it to be underneath the top layer. So if we actually hold down Control and click the new layer button, it'll put it there. Just make sure the new layer is in between the other two. We are going to grab our brush tool, and I would start off with a nice big blue. The colors will be up to you. We're going to have at least 3 colors on here. We have our paintbrush. We're going to grab a nice fuzzy brush here. If you don't have these standard brushes, go here to Reset Brushes and press OK. We're also going to press F5 to open up this menu over here. You can click on this button to do so as well. And make sure that none of these are turned on except for smoothing. Now, once you have a nice big brush, you can use the bracket keys, of course, to change the size. we're just going to paint some color on to the scene. If you go over the same area more than once, it'll make it look a little bit brighter. I'm going to switch colors. And add these as well. And once I'm happy with the colors I have, I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and we're going to blur it by about 80 pixels. So it makes it a little bit softer. Now let's add your planet to the scene. So I've opened up my planet document. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all the layers except for the text layer and the bottom background layer. So I'm going to select this top one. I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to click this one to get them all selected. And I'm going to bring them down and put them in a group. Then I'm going to make a copy of that group. Oops. I'll just say duplicate group. There we go. That way the one's not inside the other. And on this copy, I'm going to open it up. And what I need to do is, first of all, is this layer right here that has the atmosphere. If you look at the thumbnail, it also has this big black spot that we use to sort of create the shadow. The problem is it goes all the way down to the bottom of the screen here. It's not visible to us here because we have a black background, but when we drag it over to the new scene, we're going to see all that black down here. So we need to sort of get rid of it. And the way we're going to do that is by coming down to this layer right here, and on the thumbnail, right-clicking and choosing Select Pixels. And what that's going to do is it's going to get the planet selected. I'm going to go to Select, Inverse. So now I have everything else selected. I'm going to grab an eraser, make sure your flow and opacity are at 100%, and now I'm going to delicately, oops, I made the mistake, I'm still on this layer, I need to be back up here on the actual layer with the black spot. And I'm going to just delicately erase this black area, not the shadow that's actually on the planet itself, just sort of around the planet, because I don't want to drag that with me. And my changes are going to be reflected here in the little thumbnail. I also want to be careful I don't start erasing the atmosphere. Alright, so once that looks fine, I'm going to do Select, Deselect. And now I'm going to grab this top one. I'm going to hold down Shift again, get them all selected. I'm going to right click and say Merge Layers. Now I have one layer that has all of the planets in here. It's a copy though, so I made a copy so I still have my original layers down here unaffected. I'm going to go ahead and delete this group, but the group only. So now I have just this layer with my planet. I'm going to turn everything else off. So now I can grab my Move tool, grab the planet, move it over here, bring it down. Okay, it's going to be very bright and it's going to be very big. I'm going to move the layer to the top. I'm going to press Control-T to open up my transform tools, or Command-T. I'm going to hold down Shift while I bring it down to size. I'm going to place it wherever I'd like it, maybe over here. For the final step, we're going to add a lens flare. Before we do that, we're going to create what's called a composite snapshot. We're going to create sort of one layer that's got all of these things on it. It'll leave these alone so we still have them if we need them. The shortcut is kind of complicated. On a PC, you have to hold down Control, Shift, Alt, and press E. Make sure you have the top layer selected when you do this. It's Control, Shift, Alt, E. On a Mac, it's going to be Command, Shift, Option, and E. And now I have this layer that just sits on top that's got everything. I can go to Filter, Render, Lens Flare. We're going to do a 35mm lens flare, and let's make it about 75%. And then what I need to do is drag it over here on this preview screen, sort of just to the edge of my planet itself, and press OK. And there you go. Now your planet has a place to live that's a little bit more interesting than the black screen we had last time.